You know, I always wanted to try one of those videos like all the cool YouTubers where they sit on the floor and have this really, casual discussion, but I'm 43 years old and getting up off the floor is not as easy as it used to be. So we won't be doing that. Hello my friends, Daniel Midson-Short here, and in today's video I want to talk about how to know if it's time to quit in both relationships, business, or something in your life where you're not feeling it anymore and you think it might be time to just give up, walk away, start over. You know, one of the funny things about quitting is that it's a sort of a taboo topic, right? It's one of those things that people we all fantasize at some point in our lives about quitting something, whether it's walking away from a job or a bad relationship, but at the same time, there's a lot of risk involved in quitting. We are potentially losing what we have, we don't know what else is out there, and we might be making a huge mistake by walking away. So how the hell do you know if it's the right time to quit? This is something I've had to deal with many times over the course of my life, both in relationships and in business. And I want to share some ideas that have really helped me, that I've learned over the years, that hopefully will give you a little bit more insight into some of the reasons why you might want to quit, or why you might want to stay doing what you're doing or being in the relationship you're in or whatever it is. Alright, so let's start with the concept of quitting. You know, this is something that isn't really discussed commonly in everyday life, and I think the reason is that quitting itself has sort of a duality about it, right? It has two sides to it. On the one hand, when someone wants to quit something, it can be this sort of triumphant act of moving away from oppression, quitting a job or getting out of a bad relationship, walking away from something where you're not going to take any shit anymore. But on the other hand, quitting also has this connotation of giving up, of not being able to persist, not being able to hack it in life in whatever it is you were trying to do, so you're just weak and you're giving up. In most areas of life, quitting is not celebrated, and in fact, quitting represents a huge risk for most people. If they quit a relationship, it means they're single again. Will they ever meet someone else? If they quit a career, will they find a better job? So there is a lot of negativity associated with quitting that we don't realize until we're actually getting close to the borderline of thinking about quitting, and that's when these realities start to pop up. So both those things are true about quitting, and it depends on your mindset at the time and also the people around you who are influencing you in how you will feel about quitting in your life. And I think that's important to understand even before you consider quitting something, because how you perceive quitting will actually affect the way it impacts your life if you do decide to quit. Now, before we get too much deeper into quitting, I also want to remind you about starting. The reasons that you started whatever it is in your life, whether it's a relationship, it's a career, it's a business, it's some activity, was because it was exciting. There was a newness to it. There was a novelty. There was a possibility and a sense of optimism. And that's pretty normal. In the beginning of anything, it's the best time, right? A new relationship, your body's full of oxytocin and you feel in love and you're all happy. Say you start a business or a new career, you get a bunch of dopamine, that motivational feeling, and you're really focused and you're really determined to make something work. And as we all know, there's kind of a honeymoon period that can last maybe 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Some people it lasts a couple of years, but we all go through this period where something's new and it's very exciting. And there's no thought in our mind that we would actually quit at that stage because we're so charged up with the sense of hopefulness and the idea that this is going to work for us. And then, of course, reality sets in. The novelty wears off, it's not as new and exciting anymore, and what we end up being stuck with is the real kind of work that we have to do. Whether it's in a relationship, we have to put up with our partner's kind of faults, they have to put up with ours. In a business, we realize, okay, maybe we're not getting ahead as fast as we wanted to, maybe the people we work with are kind of annoying, whatever it is. The novelty is gone, and now we're just in the reality of the work. Now, this change isn't necessarily a bad thing by any means. Life is constantly changing, and so we're adapting and evolving as people, and so is the world around us. So even though you felt all this excitement in the beginning, the fact that you're not feeling it anymore is a natural thing because the change is inevitable. However, I think at this point you need to really start to assess whether the situation you're in, the relationship, the career, whatever it is actually improving gradually or it's declining gradually. And that's important to know, because if you're putting effort into something, you're putting your time into something, if you're not seeing gradual small improvements over time, then it's probably declining. It's probably starting to entropy in some way, and it's not fulfilling you as much. So once you understand whether the situation you're in is gradually improving or gradually declining, this leads you to the most important part. And this is what I would say: before you quit anything, you have to make an effort to express what you need. Now, this is just the same in relationships as it is in business, but you have to first understand specifically what it is you would like to see change or improve, and you have to be clear that the person you're with or the business that you're in can actually offer that for you. If you see the potential for improvement in the person or the circumstance that you're in, then it's worth asking, expressing your needs and saying, hey, I could see that we could be like this, or this could be something that we could do together, or this is how we could improve. Are you willing to try to do that with me? If the person says yes, then there's the potential for the situation to improve. If the person says no, or they're not willing to make the effort, or there's no chance of it improving, then maybe it's not worth you persisting. So before you quit, make sure that you really clarify what it is you would like to see improve, see if the person or the situation is able to offer that for you, and then ask in that situation for the improvement. And if the person is willing or the situation is able to offer it for you, then you're good to go. You don't need to quit the situation. But if it doesn't, and you know that it's not going to change or improve, and that decline is still there, then it might be time to quit. And before you decide to quit once and for all, there's one more thing that I would suggest that you do, and that is to make a reasonable time limit for improvement. So instead of just having a knee-jerk reaction and saying, that's it, I'm going to quit if you don't change this by next week, think about reasonably, how much time could I persist in this situation to see if there's an improvement? Would it be a couple of months, another year, whatever it is for you? Give the other person or the situation a reasonable amount of time that is okay for you to persist with them to see if the change and improvement is there. If after that reasonable amount of time passes, there's not that change and improvement, then you know that you have done everything you could, you've spoken your truth, you've put the effort in, you've persisted, then I truly believe you're in a position where you can confidently quit whatever it is you don't want to be in anymore. Now, there's one more thing that most people will not tell you that I'm going to be very honest with you about when it comes to quitting a relationship or a career or something in your life. And that is that quitting won't make the situation easier. In fact, for a period, quitting and getting out of a situation will probably make it harder on you. Why? Because in some ways, you have invested so much in that situation that you are somewhat addicted to the situation. You crave parts of that situation, even though not all of it, there are parts of it that you will still be attached to the person or the safety and security of the career or whatever it is that you used to get out of it. Parts of that are still there and you will still crave them even though you want to walk away. So there will be this duality in you when you say, that's it, I've had enough, I'm leaving this situation. At the same time, part of you will say, yeah, but I'm going to miss it. I want to go back to it. I wish I didn't do that. And you have to be prepared for that before you quit. The other aspect is that quitting something can sometimes make life complicated. If you're in a relationship, let's say it's a breakup and maybe you have assets together or you have children together, you're going to get divorced or you're going to move out or something like that. That's a lot of complication that you didn't have if you just stay in the situation. It's the same with a career. If you quit a certain job, you have to then find another job or start a business or do whatever it is you need to do to find the next level of development for yourself. It is not easier to quit. It is actually easier in a lot of situations to stay in the difficult, unfulfilling situation rather than to quit. So when you know it's time to quit, you have to be ready for that difficulty and that heartache and that resistance that will come up in you when you decide to walk away. And the reason I'm telling you that is because most people won't tell you that. They'll say, oh yeah, quitting's very liberating. It's the best thing you can ever do. It absolutely is, but in hindsight, down the track, maybe 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the track, you'll be so glad you got out of the situation that you were in. But during those first couple of months when you do quit, you will have that resistance, that regret starting to come up. And so you have to be ready for that when you're going to quit so that you can move forward confidently. Even though the emotions are present, you know it's the right thing for you. And my final thought here before I shut up about quitting is that I want to say you have every right in your life to quit whenever you want to. You know, this culture that we have of persistence and success and grit and, attitude and all that kind of stuff, that's all great. It's all well and good as long as the situation is actually serving you. If you get yourself into a situation that is no longer serving you, which we all do at some point in our lives, then it's your right to walk away from it to protect who you want to become as a person. I've done this many times in my life. All of us have quit something in our lives and it's made our life better in the long term. So my friend, I hope this video has helped you in some way to see quitting from a different perspective. I know these ideas have been valuable for me over the years. They haven't been easy, but they've been very valuable as I've implemented quitting strategically into my life. Thanks as always for watching. My name's Daniel Midson-Short. Please leave a comment below with your questions or your experiences with quitting, because I'd love to hear more about what you've been through or what you're going through right now. And if you like what you're seeing here in this channel, please consider subscribing and becoming part of our community. We'd love to have you with us. As always, thanks for watching and thank you for improving yourself. Cheesy smile. What was that?